The officials are ready. The fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to the DJ Scottos What Why Now podcast, where I'm inviting special guests onto my show to ask them questions about their life and success story. For this week's episode, I have invited another special guest. We're finding out what it was like growing up in Tunbridge Wells, how she became an award-winning drum and bass MC, collaborating new songs with some of the biggest artists in the industry, and releasing some of her own music as well, what it's like being part of the SASAS Future, touring with Mr. Traumatic, also performing at some of the big shows from Glastonbury, Westfest and Boomtown, and also to find out what her plans are for the future. I am really excited to introduce my very special guest today. Let's make some virtual noise for Y-Zer. Excellent. Firstly, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. How are you, by the way?
Yeah, my pleasure, man. I'm doing good. Busy. Obviously, we've just spoke about the mad week I've had. Overall, in general, I'm doing really well. Positive and confident. The diary's getting busy for the spring, summertime. And yeah, just rolling with it, really.
Before we go into some of the questions, actually, what's your normal average Thursday that you normally do from your normal day-to-day stuff and obviously what you do with your music?
It's a really that's a hard question to concentrate on a Thursday. I'll just put it into perspective. I work a few days a week in the week. I work away and sleep over at night. So I'll be at work from a Tuesday evening to literally now when I've got home.
Wow.
It's a weird, like, I've only ever done it in a chunk, so I know no different. Sure. And I get paid for my sleeps, and you get paid to sleep, man. That's if they let you sleep. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, you get paid to sleep. And then it gives me like my time from now until pretty much Tuesday morning to just delve into music stuff. So a day in the life for me, if it was today, I'd be waking up at work, doing my bit there, coming home, and I'm trying to now anyway, more in the new year, but get stuff in the diary for when I'm home.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep the ball rolling. It's very easy to go work, and if it's been a shit week or whatever, and then you come home and you're like, oh, I'll take a day to relax and all that. I'm trying to get out of that mentality and keep myself busy, but I'm literally in my studio.
Wow.
Anyway, so the mic's right there, and if I've got bits to do, I just try and get it done. Wait for the missus, cook some nice foods, go gym. Trying to anyway. I can't preach that I've been spending my whole life trying to keep healthy, because that would be a massive lie.
And we're gonna get deeper into the more of the life and how you are where you are today and some of your plans. Before we do that, actually, I just wanted to make sure that everybody that's watching the podcast, I know everyone says this on these podcasts, please can you subscribe, like, leave messages, etc. in the chat. There's a percentage of people that have watched my podcast so far. It's about 75% have watched it, but haven't subscribed. So
yeah,
please,
they don't.
Please subscribe.
It's really important. I think these people that don't, they might have really enjoyed it, but there's a few things. Yeah, my personal opinion is algorithms.
Yeah.
If their phone has sense they like it, they don't even need to subscribe nowadays. Like, it will come up, and I think people are getting into that mentality. I'm not even following people. I'm not even liking stuff, but I'm watching it. It will come up again. I don't think these people understand how important it actually can be. Yeah. Like, just that one little click, it just generates so much. And if you're getting everyone that's just remotely liked it or found one part interesting, then they should really be doing it. But this isn't telling you off, guys. Just do it now.
One of the things I also did before this podcast, I sent out some questions that people would want to ask you. And these are sort of questions more around sort of ice-breaking questions, people that probably you've never told anyone before. So I picked the best 5, and they are quite random. And if you don't want to answer them, then you don't have to, okay? So but they are the best ones. They are PG, I promise.
Nice.
The first one is, if there was a movie that was made of your life, who would you want that person, that actor, to be, and what would it be about?
That is such a sick question. But first of all, the movie would be about probably being that person growing up that never fit in, kind of that floater. I was definitely a floater. I went from here, there, everywhere, all different friend groups, different schools, and I just never, ever, and this sounds corny, yeah, but I fit in when I started listening to drum and bass. Because I think you can just be anyone and listen to this music, and everyone's like open arms. I'd actually have to think about that.
What would the title of your autobiography be?
Y-Zer. No, joking.
No, it could be. It could be. I don't know. Yeah,
it could be. What would the title of my autobiography be? I was the odd one out, but drum and bass brought me the odd one in.
I like that.
Because even now I've become a bit more generic, and we all can act the same, and we all have the same banter. I'm female, man, trying to do jump up MC, and like I'm always going to be the odd one out, but I've tried to switch that and become the odd one in.
We'll definitely come on to that in a bit more detail, because that's something that I'm very impressed about. Have you ever been told you look like someone famous, and who was it?
I've been told I look like other D&B artists.
Yeah, which one?
Like I was on set with Molly Collins, on New Year's Eve, and I was meaning to ask her before the set, do people ever call you me? Because people call me you.
Wow.
Like I even walked into that event. We were second set, so I was their first set. People were going in, and someone went, "Oh, it's Molly Collins," and I was like, "No, it's not." And that's not the first time that's happened either.
If you were in a fight, right, and you could have 3 people from the drum and bass scene to help you win this fight, who would they be and why?
Easy. Evil B. That man is Tonk. Even I'd say X, but I've just chosen Evil. So let's branch out a bit. Mampy Swift.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Yeah.
He's actually huge. And then let's pick a girl, V-Dubs.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I wouldn't even need Evil or Mampy if V-Dubs is there.
Really?
She's savage, man. Not violent ways. I think those girls taught me how to handle myself. Like I used to think I could, and then they're older than me, and her day job as well. She's a manager.
Yeah.
So, mate, we've been out for drinks before.
Right.
They put a service charge on. I'm telling you now. And then, and then next thing you know, she's got free drinks, free shots, service charges off. She's on it, man. Big up V-Dubs, man.
If you had to marry, kiss, and kill someone from the SAS, what would it be?
First of all, if they watch this, none of you are my type.
Okay.
Just a personal preference.
Yeah.
But marry, kiss, and kill. I'd kill Fantasy because he's well annoying. He's so annoying. No, I'm joking. I'd marry Shotter.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be boring. Like I can just chat with that geezer. Do you know what I mean?
Would you kiss Shabba?
And I'd give Shabs a little kiss.
Oh nice. Wicked. So
I can't believe I've ever had to say that.
So what? This is by the way, this is a new feature in my podcast. So I thought, you know what? By the way, I feel bad now because I put you on the spot. But these are from the listeners, so thank you guys for that. And if Y-Zer thinks of a movie star later on, or
you know, I did think of someone that I don't look like her anymore, but I probably did when I was younger. Someone always said I used to look like, she plays Alex in Orange Is the New Black. Now, if you won't know it if you don't know if you don't watch it, but people who watch it, they'll know.
Okay. Wicked. Thank you so much for being honest, by the way. And the reason why I do that, because I think the idea of this podcast is for people to find out more about you they don't know now. Because even when I do my research on every guest I've come in, most of the time I know most of the answers, but you know, let's be fair to say, you're obviously relatively new into this industry, and there's lots of stuff that people from the interviews you've done so far, I'm hoping we've never answered this question. Before we talk about what you're doing now, I want to start by going back for when you were a child. So I understand that you were from Tunbridge Wells in Kent. What were you like growing up there?
I mean, it's lovely. Like it's so nice here. It's like any other town. Have their rougher spots, have their nicer spots. I mean, as a kid, I wanted nothing but to get out, but I just realized over time that wasn't a place. That was like me and my mindset, you know. And then I've grown up and bought my first place, fucking literally not even a mile away from my mum, you know. I can walk down.
I like Tunbridge Wells. I got married in Tunbridge Wells. So
no, you didn't. Where did you get married?
At the big white spa.
Hotel.
Yeah. So
all right.
So we got married there just over 10 years ago. So
where are you from again?
Tick up in Kent as well. So what were you like as a child though? You obviously mentioned you were in Tunbridge Wells, but what were you like generally as a child?
I was probably the most weirdest hyperactive kids you'd ever meet.
Yeah.
Like I was quite lucky, like adventurous, always adventurous. I still am to now, like this day. My idea of fun is taking my 5-year-old nephew to like trampoline park.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really changed in that aspect. But yeah, I lived in like around Woodland. Like literally, I was like 10-minute walk up the road and you're in town. But like where I was, I could walk out my house and be in the woods. So for me and the other kids on my street, it was good. It was fun. I had a fun young childhood, but it's just like average family stuff. But I've got biggish family.
Have you? Right.
3 older sisters, and then there was mum and dad, and that's all in one bathroom. Times being hard, but we've come out the other side of it, man. I'm proud of it.
That's really good. And I was going to actually ask you about, have you got any siblings, and if so, like, how did they affect your life? What impact have they had growing up and your life now, I guess?
I mean, when there's 4 girls all within the space of 10 years, like, it was like dramas, yeah. But we got to an age, I probably hit 15, 16, and I'm the youngest, by the way, so they're all older than me. And obviously, just from stuff that went on, and we kind of needed to gel together, we did, and we're so tight now. Like, we're all different. My elder sister actually is the reason I listen to drums. So she influenced me massively. I remember us being in the car, and she was playing some like old school like tape pack, and crowd reaction. It was like the first time I heard drums. It was like, I say DJ, you say F4, and I must have been like 6, or 7 probably. She's turning it down every time. And honestly, I'm not stupid. I could clock what it was saying. And then so my elder sister influenced me massively in music. She was with a DJ for a while, and they've all influenced me in different ways, and we're tight. We're more pals. We're friends.
Yeah,
I'm very different to any of them.
Yeah,
I must make that clear. That's why I keep referring to this odd one in thing.
Okay.
That even in my family, I'm like, if you came around for a Sunday dinner, like, I'm just different.
What was your parents? What were they like, and what impact have they had in your career so far?
It's like my mum has supported me doing music my whole life. Like, I wanted to perform. This is the thing I keep coming back to. Like, I didn't know I wanted to do drum and bass until I heard drum and bass. Do you get me?
Right.
It was like I literally delved into every single genre possible, and just, it was good because I love music, but it just didn't click. And I always loved rap, always loved hip hop, always loved learning other people's tunes. Then started writing bars in a park with old friends and that. So yeah, mum's pushed it hard, but they've never seen me live.
This is my next question, by the way. So if your parents had to describe what you do to their friends, how would they describe you of what you do in drum and bass?
My dad would say I'm an MC, and my mum would say I'm a singer.
Okay.
So yeah, there's it's actually really weird. My mum went to a boot fair the other day. No, it wasn't the other day. It must have been the other month now. We're at a boot fair season, and she was looking at someone's like CD collection, and she saw a drum and bass section. And she went, "Oh, my daughter does drum and bass singing." And he goes, "Who's your daughter?" She says, "Y-Zer." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I know her." So she was like,
That's nice.
My God, someone knows you. So yeah, it is nice. It's nice for them to see. I think when I first started, and I was just taking these bookings for no money and traveling here, there and everywhere, I was still 17. Do you know what I mean? Wow. So she was like, if anything, more worried.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, her actually seeing it grow, she's like more behind it now. She knows it's like I'm fully focused on it. So yeah, it's good to have the support. Brilliant.
No, they're important, aren't they, your parents? Because some parents be like, "There's no career in that. You should be doing that," and it's very, very common, isn't it? And sometimes, even Fantasy mentioned it as well. That's about him about sometimes his dad made him work on a doing bricklaying or whatever it was, and he just wanted to be DJ, and he was like, "No, you got to do this. This is where the money is." So it's great that they're very supportive, and it must be even more lovely when they say. When they tell you that story when they're at the boot fair and they hear that somebody knows you, suddenly that's when the penny drops. But that's when they think, "Wow, actually,
yeah.
That's so nice." And talking about you, but have they actually watched any YouTube stuff? Are you on the radio?
So videos? They definitely know I do. I'm not as I don't hassle them as much now as I did when I first started. But whenever I'd release anything, it'll be straight in the family group chat. I'll be like, "Everyone stream it," kind of thing. And now, because there's such constant stuff coming about, I don't feel I need to. But they all got one of my CDs, back in lockdown, and nice. I think that's it. I don't really feel the need to push it on them now. If my mum wants to know, she'll ask.
So, who's the most influential person in your life? How did that impact you?
I mean, there's quite a few. So, like, a lot of D&B artists. But if we're talking way back when, Eminem, I think every rapper will say that at some point, that Eminem has in some way had just got their brain differently. Us, and then Ocean Wisdom. I'm trying to think outside of drums to start with, and then we'll come to drums. So Eminem, absolutely obsessed with him. Ocean Wisdom was the next artist I heard that I generally think is on par with Eminem, like lyrically, talent-wise, skill-wise, but just does it completely different.
Yeah.
So those two are probably my two most influential MCs. But in drum and bass, I mean, like it's weird to say, but Shotta, you know, was the first MC's video. I must have been like maybe 14, maybe 15. It was his
Do you
radio.
tell him this? Do you tell him this?
I told you this on the phone. His One Extra thing.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, yeah, oh my God, like he rapped so fast, but he rapped so fast that I could learn it because I knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
And then like 10, 20 listens, you've learned it kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so that's really weird. I've never even told him that. Like I haven't even really had the chance to like talk about stuff like that. But yeah, he was the first MC I saw on a live video that I had access to keep going to watch. It's different on tape packs and that, but
Definitely.
I could sit on my phone and pull it up kind of thing. And then probably, do you know what? I've been influenced by every single successful MC in the scene in one way or another. Like they all have their different strengths, and that's what I love. Like I can't pick two that are the same, apart from Ragged Twins, because they literally are the same. But I can't pick two that have the same skill, and they've all influenced me in different ways. Like Evil makes me want to be more lyrical. X-Man wants to make me tighten up my double time. Azza wants to make me be more charismatic. It's just everyone in every kind of way.
I find it absolutely crazy how Shotta could do 6,000 words or something in a song, and I played that song to my kids. We were in the car. I said, "No, I'm doing an interview with this guy. You know, listen to this world record song, beating Eminem and stuff." And they're listening to it, and the first thing they said was, "We can actually hear every word he's saying." Because a lot of MCs, you know, not saying any names, but they're MCing, but you can't actually hear what. You know, you can't actually hear what he's saying.
No, that's definitely it, and it's important. I think, like, I think it's important to remember. Like, I always try, like, preach this, but it's definitely true. Is that you are your own artist, and just because you've seen someone else do one thing, it doesn't mean that that's your thing. Yeah. And I love double time. The double time is what I've done, but I've definitely learned and molded how if I'm going to double time on a tune, to work it in my way with my flows, that every single thing is picked up. Because when you're at that stage now where you've done the up and coming stuff and you've done the smaller tunes, the smaller sets, and you're like being given this platform, like, oh my God, people are actually looking at me now. Everything that you put out has to be of like your most perfect quality.
If somebody, again, you're very relatively new into the industry, and somebody come up to you and goes, like, what can I do to get into this industry? What advice would you give somebody, knowing what you know now, 6-7 years into this journey, and somebody starting now? What advice would you give to that person?
A few things that I probably could have learned myself. One is, like, that took me a while to learn, not because I was disrespectful, but just to have respect for like the scene in itself. Like, the scene has been here before you, and you're trying to come into this scene, and like, even though it's a very welcoming scene, there's certain things that happen in certain ways, and you need to do it in that way if you want to show you've got the respect for it, and you're not just here for the clout or here for whatever. So any opportunity you get to snatch it up, like, I mean, in any, like, even if you think you're better than it, until you're at that stage where you know, and people know you're better than it, like you're not better than it, you're the same as everyone else. Right, if you're obviously wanting to be an MC, just write like as much as you can. You don't have to release, I'm learning this for myself, you don't have to release everything you write. Just because you've written a new verse, the whole world doesn't need to know about it. I mean, it's good to keep them up to date with stuff, like socials are really important, but not everything you write, one, will be at that level to release, and two, you just don't need to do it. Be active. Even if you like raving as well, just go raving. Like, if you want you and yourself as a brand to become known, like I've watched artists blow purely because they're known, like not really because of music that comes later down the line if they're getting like the right tunes or the right management, etc. I've seen artists blow because they are funny, or because they are good looking, or because they are remembered. And if you can like get a logo, get some tops, like just do all the little things that the average MC just entering a comp isn't going to do. Like, comps are really important, but if you can turn up at that comp with 5-10 of your people, they're all in your merch and it's fresh, and you're all I don't really want to bring looks into it as much because GTA, which is where I originated from, we kind of steered away from looks being it.
Yeah.
But if you can just look like you and like incorporate your personality into your clothes, just loads of little things you can do. I could probably go on for days, but just link up with other artists like yourself and try and be really cautious with judge a character, because if you're going to all these raves and you think, oh, they're wicked, like, oh, I remember they were really sick at that rave, we had a drink in it, we clicked really well, like just try and find the blurred line between if they're your friend or your acquaintance, and if they're really going to better you and if you're going to better them, because there's no time to waste, man. There really isn't. Like in 2 years' time, whoever's blown up now, it will be someone else, and it will be someone else, and it will never be the same person each time. Trust. It's true, man. Like I think any artist that's started and they've got all these big artists that they look up to, and they can actually go to raves and sometimes pass mic with them, and sometimes be in the smoking area with them, and all this, like, oh my god, I've just had a fag with so and so. Do you know what I mean? All that stuff. But the best thing you can do is bring something completely different, completely unique, and sounds that maybe haven't been done before, but haven't been done to the level that you want to do it, and you will stand out. I think standing out is really important.
So it's fair to say, right, for you to be the best female MC in 2021, it's probably the quickest, or like, you know, it's probably something you must be really, really proud of. Like we'll talk a bit more about coming into it, but God, was that a shock to you, or did you expect it? I don't know how these awards are qualified and how they're done.
I mean, you never really know, you know. Like I think I deserved it that year, just because it was the year of lockdown, and I just feel it was so easy for people to take a backseat, and there's a less percentage of females anyway. So I thought, it just got announced that award was coming back, and I was like, I'm not having this award this year. So I just grabbed it, man, and I wouldn't have necessarily been more disheartened if I didn't get it, and I didn't think I'm gonna get it. I just thought I was in with a strong chance, and in my head I probably I've done enough to get it.
What did you do differently that you think to win that award?
Just got obsessed with recording, because I thought it's lockdown. Like the only way people are going to hear new music is if you actually release some stuff. And I was lucky enough that around that time I did a tune with Molly, which did pretty well, and it sparked me up to. I think had I released anything myself yet? I think I'd have released a few tunes myself before that, but it was just the height of Spotify for me, and it became kind of like a little bit addictive to try and be like, who can I do a tune with, and how well can my stats be, and what are the results from that? And I think that's what it well was done. To be honest.
Well, amazing, by the way. I think that's probably the quickest, probably anyone that's started and got an awards, probably more than anybody else. That's my thinking. I do follow this quite a bit. So I think you should be really, really proud of what you've done with that. Man. Was there a particular person, mentor, girl or guy, gave you the opportunity and supported you through that?
Yeah, V-Dub's an enemy, 100%.
Right.
Like they had my back from the get-go, man. I literally came down for one rough tempo show, and this was when I'd class myself as being like really shit. That was really shit. That's only my personal. Maybe I wasn't. That's my personal thing. I wouldn't do any of the content that I had back there live now. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, they were just there for me, man, and vice versa. And hopefully I've started to become someone that's knowledgeable enough to like be the same for them.
Yeah.
But yeah. Easy question, easy answer.
Good. It's fair to say, look, you know, obviously you're coming into an historic male-orientated scene that's obviously also very hard as a male to get into, because it's very, very difficult. What have you found the good parts of that and some of the challenges, and how have you overcome them?
I've been asked this. It's probably one of my most asked questions. How is it to come into a scene that's surrounded by men and you're clearly not? The thing is with me, right, is I've never classed it as like I am a female MC. It's like that's clearly what I am, but I just want to be an MC, like, and I've never felt any different. And I don't think there's been one set I've been on when I'm going back to back with men and I thought, I'm doing worse because I'm a female. If anything, like the role reverses and I'm like, if I can do better than them and I'm female, then it's saying something. Do you know what I mean? So don't get me wrong, it's been tough. I mean, it's really weird. Like, there's definitely a percentage of people and certain groups of people that embrace you more and are like, well, this female's doing sick, so let's put her on this or let's get her on this tune, whatever. But then there's definitely people, I don't want to say stuck in their roots, because it's not even like that, but there's people that might not be, like, they're not given the handouts that they're given people, which in my eyes aren't as good as me. No, I'm joking.
I'm going to come in there, by the way, and we've talked about this off this recording, and I'll say what I said to you is that I listen to a lot of drum and bass, loads. I'm a big fan. I've been there since the Hyper D days, and there's a podcast I'm doing actually in the future with the guy that used to run Desire. And nice. I'm going to be so I've got that coming soon. But so that was one of my first raves. But I'm obsessed with drum and bass, jungle, and I listened to a lot of it. And that set you did with Harry Shotter on Pyro was unbelievable. The best set I've heard probably in the last year. The way you guys MC together, it was like, you know, sometimes you see people MC, there's always that little bit of a like crossover. Sometimes they're not looking and they just carry on.
Yeah.
But you guys weren't even looking at each other. And I know you guys have worked a little bit more together recently. We'll come on to the SAS in a bit, but it was unbelievable. And I want to ask you about your bars in a minute. But so for me, you're not a female MC. You are an MC, drum and bass, and to do what you're doing in the short period that you are is pretty bloody incredible. And I can say that's similar to how Harry Shotter came onto the scene. You know, because he just come from nowhere. You know, I listened to everybody, and I thought, well, who was this guy?
Really good for to hear that from someone else who's watched it and their perspective, because definitely when I'm in the moment, and especially when I'm on with men and like established like male artists, I don't want once think, oh, I'm a female and I have to do this, blah blah blah. I'm just doing what I'm naturally doing. But sometimes when I watch it back, it does play in your head like, did I do that feminine enough? And I think that's just how sometimes, like, because I carry this title of female artist, female MC, I don't stand in my sets and want to like, oh, make sure the set's really feminine. That's not really what I'm about. But I do sometimes look back and think, like, could that have been done more feminine? So it's good to hear that someone is looking at me without that label, and maybe that's just all up in the head, or maybe that label's gone.
That's why we're doing this podcast now, because when you are like going to move in, find out who's going to be doing your stuff.
one day.
You'd have to come back to it and go, by the way, there's some guy asked this question. Actually, going back to MCing, so one of the things I'm really impressed with is like, how do you MC for that long? Also, I don't know if you can count this, but how do you write your lyrics? What's the kind of full process? Again, going back to someone that wants to get into this, what do you do and how do you come up with some of the stuff that you do? Because there are some you've got a lot of stuff in your head, by the way. It's amazing.
I know, man. My brain works a bit backwards. Do you know what it is? Yeah. Right. If I had to start back to when I started writing, I was probably more writing what I thought people wanted to hear. I was trying to write enough content that would fill out a set. So I was writing my mix of hooks, singing hooks, writing my mix of hype hooks that the crowd can chant back, then 16s, then some 32s of different flows. But when it really changed for me is probably when I stopped. I don't really write content for raves anymore, and I just write over tunes. Right. And then the next thing you know, when you've written a tune, which I can easily do in about an hour, like hour or two, next thing you know, you're going, you've got another set and you've got 2 new bars and you've got a new hook that you can try out. Yeah. And that's when it started to change that way. But I wouldn't say I'm good at remembering, because I'm actually like really not great at remembering. I've just like molded my brain to remember like pinnacle moments that remind me of a bar. So I think of my latest releases, and I don't try and do it all at once. Like I won't go on set and do the first 10 minutes my new stuff and then mix it. It's like, I think over a certain amount of time, when I've spat a new bar and I've then gone into an old bar after that, just kind of becomes one. Like what's the way to put it in your head? Sequence. Like you kind of do these sequences so much that I know when I do one bar, the next one's coming next, and they've got no relevance to when I wrote them. They're just kind of there. But yeah, if I were to have advice for people that are trying to go on set and remember stuff, it would be to remember like, what stuff have I written last year? What stuff did I write for Spotify recently? And then I'm like, boom, that tune. That's the way I personally remember it. because I have to. But there's probably some artist, Harry Shot, that will just know. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got like probably all his bars down. It's going to be the same with the people that have done it for years and years. I don't imagine X thinking, but I don't think I'll ever stop using those ways of like remembering my content.
But where does it come from? Where's the content that you put in there? Where does that is there like, have you got people that you listen to, or where's that ideas and stuff? Because you've got a lot. I just wonder where it comes from.
The most influence I get to wanting to write a tune is listening to Ocean Wisdom.
Right.
Like when I have a binge from him, I'm instantly writing different. I'm not writing like him, but I'm just writing different because I pick up how he does it so differently. But I wouldn't even say that like I'm writing because of this or I'm writing because of that. Like if I've got a tune and I've got a concept, then I'll try and like give it my all in that concept. But yeah, there's definitely not that people are starting to hit me up more for projects now actually. So I'm happy to write for their concepts. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I've never really thought of that one.
But you must see it's again. I don't, you probably write all this stuff down in the book. I bet you got like this.
Yes, my notes on my phone. Like I used to write on paper, but do you know what? I explain this quite a lot. I've had to explain this to Fantasy and that recently because I've not been around them too long, and I'm not a very good writer. Like my handwriting is like a comical joke within my family. Yeah, and I'm not a very good speller, and I'm not a very good reader. And not because I'm just didn't bother. Like probably getting through school would have helped. Don't get me wrong, but it's just it's creatively I'm fine. So I used to do stuff on pen and pad. I've probably still got it, you know. I've got a few. Oh my god, that tune is old. That's old. That's my first ever visual that I did in the woods near my house that I'm on about with one of my old boys, 30. So that's mad. But do you know what I just found? I was just writing slower than like physically than I wanted to like create tunes. So it just became a bit of a chore. I noticed I just stopped writing because I couldn't be bothered to get the pen and pad out.
Yeah, no,
and then when you're in moments like you're in your car, I write a lot of singing-y stuff in my car because I'm just whacking out the music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, that sounded good. But like phones on hands-free, press record, and I can just be recording voice notes. Like my whole thing is voice notes. Really,
it kills time as well because you're doing a lot of traveling. And talking about traveling, so you've the SASS things suddenly started to blow up and stuff, and I thought I would ask, how did that all come about? Why did you think they asked you, and what's it been like since?
It's a good question. Like that's a question I want to ask them really. Like why did you pick me? And they'll say because you're the best MC we've ever come across, and I'll just be like, yeah, that's that. I'm so glad you tell the truth. But do you know what it is? Why do
you laugh, by the way? Because you say it and then you laugh at yourself.
Do you know what it is? Because I'm envisioning them watching it and laughing.
Right. Okay.
I was booked for one of Shabba's off the hook events. Like this is in my perspective anyway. I don't know how it started for them. And I was at work once, and he was like, "Yo, it's Shabs. Is this Y-Zer? Yeah, can I give you a call?" And I was like, first of all, how's Shabba got my number?
Yeah, this is a wind up.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, of course you Shabs. Yeah. But no, anyway, I did that call, and I thought someone on the lineup's given him my number to chat about the event. I don't know, fee, set time, whatever. And he calls me up and he starts with, so obviously we lost Skibber recently, didn't we? And then he chats for a while, and then he explains that when Skibber was passing, or just before that period, they were already in talks, and Skibber wanted to push the next generation and do this past, present, future showcase, and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, and we'd really like you to represent the future. And I was just like, do you know what I mean? Like,
what? Oh, man, that's
I went, can I get back to you? No, I was like, oh shit, man. All right, okay. I'd absolutely love to. And they said it was at the Drum Bass Awards, and I was already at the awards, the one just gone. That would have been April.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was April time. Crazy. And I was on with Groove Rider already, so they didn't need to sort entry or anything. I think that was kind of a good look in itself, I assume. And yeah, I mean, we did this set. I was gassed. I wasn't nervous. Like it didn't feel like that. I'd just done a set before, so that was probably a bit of a warm-up. And I mean, we done this set with the deadest mics. Nah, it's a no for me. They weren't great at all, but I think that impressed them. I was coming on with these mics that were a really bad level, and with people I've never worked with before, people that I look up to. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of pressure, and still dealt with it really well. And that's one thing that Fance always like feeds back to me, is that situation was just dealt with well. And I don't know really, because then we did more stuff. We did, I think, 3 or 4 the future shows, and obviously we got in our Westman Endo on, and even Tiny did the Pyro show, and them boys are all sick. Do you know what I mean? Like I loved them all in so many different ways. They all bring a different energy. So I don't really know how it became that.
Yeah,
it just did. I think the Rampage set, they brought me out to Rampage to do a future showcase, and they brought Spider out for the present showcase. Right. So that was sick, and I managed to. Before it was just featuring kind of a 5-10 minute thing, and then they got me to do like nearly half of it with them. And I think it was after that. I think it was Shotter actually who said, "Yeah, we've got to work with this girl," kind of thing. And they were all like, "I'm glad you're saying that because we agree." So yeah, it was mad shock. Fantasy said something really that made a lot of sense to me the other week. He said, SAS are the only drum and bass MC led collective that doesn't put on every single lineup SAS featuring Harry, Shotter, Shabba, and doesn't have to list them. And he said we did that on purpose because our brand is always inclusive to when the time comes. So yeah, and basically, to put long story short, they've been doing the past, present, future stuff for a while now, and their main aim really is to be pushing future artists. And they didn't even just push the future MCs. They got Mosey on a set. I have a feeling they're getting someone else on a set. I can't remember, but their aim is to just push the future sound, man, and they see me as part of that. So yeah, really humbled to be working with them.
Wow, and that's again a credit to you. I know you joked earlier about sort of coming through and being, being how you're sort of looked at, being on that they're on the biggest platforms or biggest festivals, biggest events, and obviously I had the opportunity to do the podcast with Fantasy, and you could tell his mindset, how he works, and not just now, but he's obviously always looking forward.
He's mad. It's like that guy will juggle like 10 pies at once. Yeah, like it's crazy to have that. Like I certainly like don't have that mentality. Like I want that, and I want all these things, and he's just kind of a person that can turn your wants into realistic situations and help you with them. So, but
you're focused. You're very focused.
Yeah, focus as well. Yeah. But when I was with GTA, they definitely taught me that like you can be these really nice people in the scene, and people will love you for it.
Yeah.
And that you will gain as much respect. And if you don't gain respect from the people you want, there weren't the people to give you it anyway. And that was the like mentality I was going with. Just be me. And I started seeing people blow up around me, and I just didn't get it. And it just didn't make sense to me. But that's when you get sucked into the negative stuff. And the second I stepped back and started chilling, started being me, like enjoying myself every time I had a booking, not just going for work and all that, is when this happened. And then Fant said to me one time, like, you're just like one of us. And I was like, oh, that's nice to hear, man. He was like, you just crack banter, you watch football, do you know what I mean? Just all this average stuff that makes you this average, easy person to go to these bookings with it. And I was like, I'm glad you said that, because I've consciously tried to not be the opposite of that.
Yeah. So and that's what exactly. And I'm guessing my Fantasy might have said about football. Please don't tell me you're a Chelsea fan. Is it like you got Chelsea? No. Two Arsenal fans are shut on Shabbo's giving him a lot of stick, by the way.
I'm a City fan. I'm going to the City game tomorrow. City v Arsenal. I'm not even going to start. We're in Manchester tomorrow at Warehouse Project, and then the tickets got released that Arsenal are playing City up in Manchester. So I'm going there with my dad. I'm going to watch a game and then go off and do a set, man.
Do you know what
I mean? That's the life.
So cool. No.
That is the life.
So do you, as an MC, emceeing in the radio, 100 people, 1,000, 20,000 people, do you feel any different in regards to your nerves or excitement? How do you adapt to those situations?
I'm trying to think of the last time I got like nervous, and it will probably come. Do you know what? I think now I'm a bit more like focused on the music, and I'm not focusing about bringing all my friends with me and having to look after them, and do I have a drink? Don't I have like all this stuff that goes on in your head? Like any anxiety is just whittled out, because you're probably not even. about your set if you're confident in yourself, anxious about all the things around you. But I definitely get excited, and sometimes I get too excited that I listen back and go, you shouted on that bit, or your voice went weird on that bit, because the adrenaline. But I wouldn't say I get nervous. I think like I got a little bit nervous on the Kiss Christmas show we did, but that was literally just because it was such, I'd never been in that environment. Like I've not just never done FM like before, I've never done a private party to celebrities. Like that was weird. And to like Kiss FM radio producers, it was so abnormal, and I wasn't expecting it to be like that either.
Yeah.
It was only when I got there and there was a bouncer on the door, and I thought, am I not at Kiss Studios? And it was like, no, you're at the Kiss Christmas party. I was like, what?
Wow.
And you're like performing live, like camera, and it's like people behind all celebrating Christmas in their Christmas jumpers. You're going outside and speaking to them, and they're like, yes, I'm so and so, I'm so and so. I was like, right. It was just weird. Yeah. So that I think, but it takes literally one bar, and then 1 or 2 minutes and you're in it, man.
So I think obviously I've asked you lots of questions about the MCing side of stuff. I wanted to get more into about your sort of the producing sides, which obviously is something you're very, very, very passionate about and very, very good. So I guess the first question I was going to ask about was with regards to the tour that you did with Mr. Traumatic, and on the back of that, the tune, which I probably can't pronounce very well.
Hallucinations. There was someone called Tom Birchie hit me up, and it almost was like I wasn't a friend of him on Facebook or anything, and it almost seemed like scam, and it was just a message saying, how would you like to do a tune with Mr. Traumatic? And I didn't reply for days. I opened it, I thought, who's this, like, do you know what I mean, scroll. I was like, that's someone being fake, because at that point I'd done one established tune, like semi established tune, like that had done it with any established artist. And I went back on it 2 days later just by chance, and I thought, oh my god, this is real. Like I looked at him, he owned something called TBC Recordings, and I went, oh, all right. I was like, yeah, I'm on it. And then he offered money, and I was like, I'm being paid money to do a tune with a sick artist. Like it was not really surreal, because that's how it should be, but it was definitely enlightening to see that someone thinks my vocals are worth that.
Yeah.
And we did the tune pretty quick. I like to pride myself that my like turnover period can be quite quick, and I think I wrote the tune in like a few days and had it back to him, and he was like, bloody hell, you're quick, like kind of thing. So that was good. Tune did pretty well. I think it's one of my top streams, and isn't it on Spotify?
It is, yeah. That is as well, because I obviously went through some of your songs. But you did the tour? How long after did the tour kind of kick in?
I'm gonna say maybe 2, maybe 3 months.
Right.
Like I didn't. It wasn't like you do this tune and we'll do a tour. It wasn't like that at all. And I think the tune did well, but it didn't get on a playlist, and it won't ever get on a playlist because the title was pretty much about narcotics. Do you know what I mean? So it was never gonna hit that playlist. So it did really well, like independently, and I think that's what made him all right. And he does events anyway, TBC events, I believe that's what it's called, or TV events or something like that. And he gave, I think, 8 dates. Wow. And yeah, it was really good. Like the first date he gave was the first day out of lockdown.
Oh wow, okay.
So it was sick, and that one was in Manchester as well. Never been to that venue before. But yeah, it was good. The thing is, I think with any tour, especially when you do it so quickly, there's going to be a few that are a bit because you're in really weird areas. I mean, I did a set in Worcester. I was calling it Worcester. Right. Do you know what I mean? I was going to my mum, I'm playing in Worcester next week. She's like, no, you're not. I was like, I am. My sister's like pissing themselves on a table, like, no, you're not. So yeah, apparently that's called Worcester. Where else was someone? We did Cornwall, but Cornwall was good. We played in Newquay. We did. I don't even remember now. High Wycombe, Milton Keynes, and some like the Milton Keynes one was wicked, Cornwall one was wicked, Manchester one was wicked, and then the rest I'd just say were kind of average raves. But were these like the sort of like this part of like the biggest thing that was kind of like looking at your career so far? At that point, was that at that time for me? Yeah, it was a changing point in the fact that I had constant bookings. I think we were doing two a month. But I had that along with other stuff that was already there. And then not even just that, he was doing hotel, he was doing, do you know what I mean? I was getting payment and petrol, and even though I've been getting paid for like a few years now, I've never had to do like one weekend was flipping. We did Cornwall, and the next day we did Worcester. Yeah, we literally went boom like Friday night, Saturday night, and so it was hotel, and I was like, I love this.
Was this like I was going to say, as you probably asked that question now, was it one of those sort of tour bus fees, or was it just
no? We didn't have that luxury. No, I mean, he owned. This is a funny story. He owns quite a nice, I want to say old school, like not old school, but like, was it a Range Rover? Was it a Jeep? I can't remember. He owns a big 4x4, yeah, like quite a retro-y. None of this new electric stuff. Do you know what I mean? And he offered lifts from the Cornwall one to the High Wycombe one, and he went to get his car ready, move out the car for people that were going in it, and he shuts the door and he comes in to get us, and he gets into us and goes, "Oh my God, I've just locked my keys in my car."
Oh.
Old school car locked straight away because the lock was on.
Yeah.
And he smash through his window with his foul, like I don't know how much that car was, but it's a mint car. And yeah, that was that. And everyone was driving with a smashed window glass everywhere from Cornwall to Worcester. And me and my mate was just like, see ya. Do you know what I mean?
He must have loved
So
that.
Yeah, there was no tour bus, but there was a bit of stupidity on that one.
Yeah, I can imagine. And also, like, obviously, you've been making more collaborations and more your own tunes. What's one that you probably some of your highlights, the ones that you're really proud about most so far?
I would say the one with Harry Shutter, our new one. We're not the same, just because I think my writing's getting better, like technically, and it does like play a massive part on who you're working with, because you're wanting to be that level, you're wanting to even better. Do you know what I mean? So very happy with that tune, but I always come back to my first tune, Path, that I even said to you over the phone. That was the first time I wrote a song that was like a song.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like there's an average hook, there's a verse, there's the hook, there's the verse, and it's done. It was like a song for me. And I did a lot of time, even though I love Liquid and I always go back to Liquid for little things, like I did a lot of time focusing on the jump up raves, and that's where people knew me. So when I dropped this, it got probably the most attraction on the socials.
Yeah.
And that then became the spark to me writing my album in lockdown. It became the single to my album. So yeah, like I'd say those two. Let me have a think. I'm proud of my EP as well, because it's done good streams.
Yeah.
That was 4 tunes. I'm kind of, yeah.
No,
yeah,
that's brilliant. Absolutely amazing. And like, it sounds like you've got still, we'll come on to a bit what your plans are in the future. But on average though, how long does it normally take? I know I guess people might take a lot of time because they want to be perfect, but on average, how long does it take to write a song that you know, from start to finish?
You are right. It is completely different to like what avenue your tune's going to go down. But if you wanted to do like an MC-led tune on Spotify for the ravers, like you can, like me personally, like my verse can be done with like quick time. It's the learning it part which takes long. But if you're writing the tune yourself, like I can write the whole tune in one chunk. But say I've got 3 tunes I need to work on, I'd rather do a bit of all 3 one day and then come back and do the rest another day of all 3 of them. Because I think when you write and you're just writing one concept and just keep going and keep going and keep going, I sometimes go back to it and it's like, nah, like you pick out the good bits. So if you can just give you hear a tune, oh that's going to be sick, and you can just get that and not force anymore. And then move on to the next different tune, etc., etc. That's how I work anyway. That's how I'd like to work. That's why if someone hits me up for a 16, it's like, yeah, I can get that done now, kind of thing. V does back in the day when I'd write stuff, she'd give me really good advice, and lots of the time she'd give me advice I didn't listen to because I was young. And that's why in that other question I was trying to tell people, like, be careful who you surround yourself with. Like, another thing I didn't add is just listen to people's advice about your music. Like, you're not always right. Sometimes you might feel like I'm right, and just do you, because that's going to be part of your journey and how you better yourself. But you're not always right, and I certainly wasn't always right. And there was probably tunes I shouldn't have done. Probably, do you know what I mean? Overdid it. But if I'm sending my music to people, it's going to be Fance, and he will give me the most brutally honest answer, which you need as an artist, and don't like it's not a personal thing at all.
Sure.
And stamina, big up stamina. I like to feel I can send him anything, and he in detail tries to give me the most effective feedback he can. He's always done that. He's never once skimmed over anything I've said and said it's good or this or that. He has taken his time out, and that's just mad in itself. It's one of the best, man.
No, you need people like that. So obviously, sort of moving forward now. And what else haven't you done in your career so far that you're looking forward to doing?
What else haven't I done? Just collabing with loads of bigger artists. Focusing more on my singing would be great. I'd love to collab in the future if I get myself to that level where artists from different genres know me. I'd love to collab with an artist that's not even in our genre, like either bring them to ours or ours to them. Do you know what I mean? I want to write another album, but I'm not going to rush that at all. And just like tour the world, man.
That'd be amazing.
I just managed to announce yesterday that we're doing hospitality in Croatia. Me and V and Enemy actually.
Wow.
And yeah, and I think I've got another country that's already flown in for this year. It's just kind of what I want, man. I always looked up to those artists that would turn up at a rave in England, and you'd be like, "Where you been?" And they're like, "I just got off the flight from blah blah blah, Germany, Amsterdam, Spain, playing out here and there." And I used to look at them like, you don't realise how lucky you are.
Yeah.
You're giving it all, though I'm so tired, but you don't. Do you know what I mean? That's what we all want. So
where do you sort of see that outside of drum and bass? What sort of like genre that you could see your style that would be quite
I want to do hip hop. Like I don't want to like focus my time on hip hop, but I'd love to do a soulful hip hop beat. But the thing is with me is people have asked me to do other genres, and it's like if I focus my time on that and it doesn't do what I could just like as well as I could just do a D&B tune, then like in my eyes I've wasted time, and it might be the wrong mentality to have. But for now, until I'm at a position that anything I drop everyone's gonna love, or not everyone's gonna love, but like everyone's gonna see, then I don't really see the point of doing it. So I'm not too worried now. But what other genres would I like doing? I don't even know what genre I'd explain. There's a few artists that I love. Like
who'd that be?
Like Sam Tompkins is a wicked singer, and if you're listening, if he ever needs like he's searching for a female like short rapping verse on one of his more slower tunes, like just stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
Gosh, loads of artists. I wouldn't loads of artists.
Yeah, I think Sam does listen, by the way. I know there's I think Sam will probably be listening. Was it Sam Tompkins? Was his name Sam?
Yeah.
He will be listening, by the way. I know I think I've seen him in my list of viewers, so he'll be listening. So I'm fine. He'll definitely hit you up afterwards.
Sam Tompkins will be listening.
Definitely, yeah, of course. He listens to the podcast for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, so
you don't know what you're missing out on now.
Exactly. What do you wish you knew before starting your career?
Do you know what? I don't really think I wish like I wanted to wish that I knew more. Do you know what I mean? Like I think coming in with a certain kind of like naivety probably dumbs down the seriousness of it for me at the beginning. Because even though like I did a set and I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is what I want to do. I feel like I went into it with like just unapologetically myself at that age. I was like I was 17, so I didn't really know anything anyway. And I think doing that took a lot of pressure, like added pressure that you can give yourself off of it. And then when I realized, started learning naturally about like the flow of tunes and sets and mixes and all this stuff you really need to like start jumping into. I think that like it naturally became more serious, and I just knew from experience. I think if I went in knowing everything that I could have told my younger self, and this sounds awful, but like lots of drum and bass artists like probably have thought the same. It's like you don't need to have a drink at every single set you do just because you're at a rave.
Yeah.
Like you don't like there's no need for it. Like, and I've definitely have probably lost. I remember one time, and I'll tell this story. It's not against anyone, but I went to it was a festival called Drum and Bass, and it was run by Bridge, Breaking Science Definition, right? And I wasn't performing. I just went. I was like, we got last minute tickets. So I was in that really weird stage that I was emceeing every weekend and people knew me, but like I wasn't like I didn't feel big enough to not go raving. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went and I got so drunk, yeah. And I was on this boat party, and as I went, Y-Zer on the mic and pulled me up.
Right.
And I was like, no, I told him, I actually signed. I was like, and he was like, come on, come on. And I just went, jumped on, and flopped hard. Like it was so embarrassing. And just from then on, I was like, just absolutely no need for it. Do you know what I mean? It's you do have to be professional with it. Like, don't have fun. Like majority of artists have a drink here and there, whatever.
So if there's one thing you want to change about yourself for this year, what would that be?
Yeah, health, I think. To stay on it. The thing is, I always do this. Oh, I'm going to be really healthy. Like, then you end up going gym for like 2 or 3 weeks. No, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad if you're flaking every 2 or 3 weeks. And then I don't know, life gets in the way. Like, I always slack in the summer because I'd rather be out, like in the sun, etc. So yeah, just to be more focused. I'm focused anyway, and I'm probably more focused than a lot of people that like I do music with, not do music with, but have associated with.
Yeah. So outside of the music industry, what hobbies do you have?
Oh, well, like, so my textbook hobbies, love a bit of swimming, football. Like my missus hates football, and that's on all the time. There's always a World Cup coming up or a Euros, and she's like stressing out. But apart from that, it's just going and seeing places. Like we're going on holiday, going for nice food. Yeah, like we don't as much anymore now. We're in our own place and we're like a bit more adult, you like to say. But ever since being with my partner, we've tried to like always have something to look forward to. Like
That's
we're
good.
going away on the 11th of Feb. I won't say where in case she sees it because she doesn't actually know. But she doesn't know where. She knows we're going. Yeah, just try to do loads of stuff, man. I spend a lot of time with my family. It's not really a hobby, but I try to spend a lot of time. Yeah, every Sunday dinner I'm at mum's.
So talk about your girlfriend then. Obviously, she's now with somebody like yourself that is going to be traveling a lot. So just out of interest, how did you guys meet?
So we met in the back of my mate's girlfriend's car on the way to a break in science.
Okay.
Well, romantic. Romance ain't dead, you know. But
she's not drum and bass. She's obviously into drum and bass, right?
She is, yeah. I mean, she's not as obsessed as me.
Yeah.
But she is into drum and bass. But do you know what? It wasn't even like that. It wasn't like, oh, first time I saw her, like we clicked like that, because I was there with my pal, she was there with her pal, and we were just off like doing our own thing. And I think it was on the way back, you know what, late night drives home and you're all like sleeping up against the window. And apparently in my vulnerable state, she got my Snapchat off me. And the next day I had this girl like messaging me. And I just had to be like, are you straight? Because she looks so straight. And that, I know you shouldn't, she looks straight, she looks this and that. But there is, especially I was young and like, feel like you wear your heart on your sleeve at that age. There is a certain type of look when you're like in different, like same-sex relationships, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she wasn't that look at all. So yeah, but she surprised me. She's actually quite funny. She's actually all right, you know. And yeah, it was good.
Well, you've got your own place now, so it must be going.
Yeah.
Well.
It wasn't plain sailing, but it was definitely easy, how it should be. Do you know what I mean?
No, great. So now talking about the future looking like for you, sort of personally and professionally for this year.
Personally, try and just be as stable as I can. Like I like money. I think we all like money. Doesn't mean I have loads of money. It's just that's kind of my aim, to be comfortable, and whatever comes from my life I'm able to support. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But musically, I want some like tunes. This is the good way I described it to my partner the other day. And I went, I need a tune that does really well, that people go, oh, do you know Y-Zer? And they go, nah, nah, nah. And they go, her song that goes, nah, 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 nah. Do you know what I mean? They go, oh, Y-Zer. Do you know what I mean? Like I can say to my mum, do you like garage? And she'll go, what's garage? And I'll go, and she'll go, oh yeah, garage.
Yeah.
I think you can have that like link up to anyone, like then you've done it quite well. I'd like to do another album, and I'd like to there's no time frame on that. It's not like I'm working on it. It's just something I'd like to do. Spend like a year out doing it. That'd be really wicked. And yeah, I want to make Y-Zer like a big enough artist that she can I can showcase myself. Like people can book me as Y-Zer showcase, and it can be full of my content. And yeah, that would
be amazing. So is that like do you set yourself targets then? Is that what you mean? So you want to?
Yeah. I try not to put too much pressure on it, because for me personally, I think my best stuff comes like just naturally. Like I'll have an idea and more natural, or I think when I do this day, that release will come out, that day, that release will come out. It does then start to feel more like chores of work. And yes, this is work and this is my job, but I feel some people are more like people like fantasy and more business side have that mentality anyway. I've never had that like routine mentality, because I've always hated feeling like I'm doing something I love and it's being suppressed with like pressure, and I'll try and stay clear of it.
I'm excited, by the way, with what you're doing this year, because I feel like if you can add on top of what you've done last year and being involved with effectively the biggest group in drum and bass, the only way forward. So I ask this question to every single person at the end here, and it is a bit of a weird question, but I think it's quite an important one. So how do you want to be remembered?
Good question. I want to be remembered as someone who's like been a point in history, like someone that can always be referred to, that this changed because of that time when hopefully I was like involved in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I want to obviously be remembered as talented, and my music to kind of go on as well. That would be wicked.
Yeah, that's a great answer, by the way. And
I don't want anyone to have a bad word to say about anything or anything I've done, because like someone literally said to me the other day, I was like, I wonder what people think about me, blah blah blah, and they were like, honestly, Y-Zer, like I've not spoke to anyone in the scene since speaking to you that has a bad word to say about you.
And you're around amazing people I've been around the likes of Fantos and Harry Schotter, who've got lots of t-shirts and hats, especially Fantos, which I hate to say that because he's been around for 30 odd years. And by the way, Fantos was one of the ones, and Schotter actually to say this girl called Y-Zer, bloody amazing. So, and I've been saying to you on the phone, and they did say that to me, like when I was doing this sort of podcast stuff, and there was ones that were really, really impressed. So you're also doing things that are going well. So have you ever anything else that I haven't asked you that you've been really good to, that your fans or people that are following you, that they should need to know?
What should they need to know? I've got a big tune coming out in springtime. Haven't got a release date yet and can't announce it, but when it does, it's probably the best tune I've ever been a part of, and it's not your average jump up, so it's completely different. What else to be aware of? Just come catch us, man. Come and take a little look on flyers that we're playing at. Just try and fly yourself out if they're abroad. Just come support it, because it is different. We definitely do it differently, man. No pun intended.
And just on the social side of stuff, is it worth mentioning like where people can sort of follow you on?
But best thing to do it's at Y-Zer MC on majority of socials. But best thing to do is Instagram at Y-Zer MC. Check the link in the bio, and it's got everything on. It's got shows. I'm going to start putting ticket links up there, because we're getting quite a few flyers, quite a few events through. It's just easier to plug it through one link. Get on there, get on the link.
What is the event that you're looking forward to most? Right now, you know what events that you've got in your diary. What event are you really looking forward to most?
Because yesterday I got 2 through. One I announced Love Saves the Day, and then literally later on I got Hospitality on the Beach, Croatia through. And so I'll probably have to say Hospitality on the Beach. But if you ask me that, like this time yesterday, I probably would have said Love Saves the Day.
Wow. What event to look forward to?
Man.
Wow. Do you know what? And so that's the end of the podcast. I firstly want to say again, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a very busy person. We were able to find some time, and I'm very personally very excited to see the sort of the future of Y-Zer, and I'll be very, very surprised, and I'll put it out there on here, is that you don't win some more awards.
Absolutely marvelous. You want to come round here, try spar with us. Even Jackie Chan won't kung fu how I bomb a tune, I'm like foreign.
Make sure you hit subscribe and follow to receive notifications of each of my new shows. Also, make sure you like, share, and comment. Thank you for listening.